So in part two here, we're going to talk about how did I make that form that students could fill out. And let's start here at the top. In my Google Drive, I'm creating a new form. And the nice thing here is you might get options up at the top, show progress bar. I mean, for a public personal Gmail account, like this really doesn't mean much to me, but as a teacher, if you're part of a Google district, pay attention when you make a form. If your students have Google IDs or accounts with because you're a Google district, pay attention to that because in my district, what I noticed here is the following. Let me show you. At the top of our forms, I have the option of automatically collecting the responder's district username, and that is super awesome. Like, I really, really like that. And the reason why I like that is here's why. At the top, I don't need to put a text box here to collect student names. It'll automatically collect their username. But since I'm talking about this here, and I'm making this more of a public form, I put a name field here. Not much to do here other than just give me your name. You could tell them if you want your first and the last. That's up to you. And then I do make it a required question. And that's about it. It's really all I need. Keep that one pretty simple. To collect a student's period number, that's important here, especially as a single subject teacher. This way I can sort. This one's super important. Let me just put that out there right now because I'm going to sort my data or my responses based off the period number. And this way I can look at individual classes one at a time. So just trust me on this. So do a choose from a list option here from Google Forms and just fill in your periods, whatever periods you have. You know, I don't put in my prep period or whatever, and definitely make it a required question here. That's pretty good to go. Now, got this lovely image here. How did I get this image here? So at the bottom of a Google form, you can add a lot of items here. In this case, I chose to add an image. When you do that, the image will ask you, like, what do you want to do here? What type of image? I went to the URL of Estimation 180. So let's go over here. And if you right-click on the image here on this page, you'll get some options here. And I chose copy the image URL, the link address to that guy. Copy image URL. And when I do that, I go back to my form. And when I'm at my form, I just paste in the URL right there, and I'm good to go. It'll populate the picture, and then I can edit that picture how I need to. You know, how do I want to justify it? Now, pay attention right here. For my next day, this is what I was talking about earlier, like I don't want to keep creating this form. If I want to just change the day, all I got to do up here is change the image, and it'll give me options one more time to go ahead and find that URL of the next Estimation 180 day that I want to use here. That's pretty slick. And then don't forget, if that picture is too big or too small, you can adjust it here. Okay, let's move forward here. What else did I do on my form? I created fields for too low, too high, and an actual estimate. So how do I do those boundaries? So under advanced settings, when you do a text, just want to zone in on that one. This is a text answer. Under advanced settings, I have options, and one of the options is number, text, or something else, regular expression. I chose a number, and I wanted that number greater than 0. And then a little prompt, if they give me a negative number or 0, they'll be told, hey, be braver than that. Okay? So click done, make that a required question, and what's too high? Same thing, but I noticed and learned here that I need to do this one as in between something because they could enter actually a negative number here. So I chose to put 0 here and I think 1 million. And same thing, be braver than that if they give me a number either negative or past 1 million. I like that. And then lastly here we've got your actual estimate. This is where those parameters, you need to be careful because I specified here, like, give me your answer in cents. So when I did my advanced settings here, they're going to need to enter an integer answer. And because I put it in cents, that makes it easier. So if a student put like $1.25 is 1.25, that's not going to work here. So that's why I specify what you want your unit in. Or else just skip the whole data validation here. That's entirely up to you. My prompt for this one is your answer within the range that you decided to do up above with too low and too high? Okay, on to your reasoning part. I really like this one. I wish the box were bigger, but it's not, and here's why. Because I chose text again. You could choose a paragraph text here, but what happens is you don't get the same advanced settings here. So the advanced settings for just a text box are text that I want my students to type in. So I want the text, I want it to contain, and I could also have other options here. I want it to contain the words "I noticed," and in this way my students are starting. This is the sentence starter. I noticed that there are about 25 pennies, and then they give me the rest of their reason kind of thing. Okay, sweet. Anytime. Oh, and by the way, when you submitted the form, at the end there was this like little response, and it says visit the website for the answer. If you don't want your kids to find out the answer on their own, then get rid of this. Don't put this in here. I just put this in for the sake of showing you. You could put an active URL in like the thank you screen once a student or person has submitted their response. But I think it's way more fun to watch it as a class or see the answer as a class. And then you also have other options down here that you can check out at your convenience. I think I've covered the form. What do you do with the form? Since I'm in the form, you'll also notice that I can view the live form. I can view responses. Right now I have about 16 that have come in, which is nice. And when I click on the view live form, that means I can go and get and just test it out. What does this form look like? But it's also active too, so I can type in and test out the fields and see what happens here. At the same time, like maybe you have no convenient way of getting these links to your kids, but if you're using the same form over and over and over, how about we shorten this? So you can copy this link here, Control C or Apple C on a Mac, and find a Google URL shortener or a bit.ly and convert that link to something really user-friendly, easy to type in right here, or like a bit.ly as I mentioned earlier. All right, that's part 2. How do we make the form? Now, what do we do with this rich data that we're getting from students or people? And that will be in part 3. How do I organize this in a Google Sheet?